Before the speed, before the trophies, before the millions of fans cheering his name, there was a little boy. A boy who knelt beside his bed and said, "God, help me." A boy who didn't have the best cart or the most money, but he had a dream, and he had faith. This is not just a story about racing. This is a story about believing. Believing when no one else does. Believing when the road is dark. Believing when your body is tired, but your heart says, keep going. Lewis Hamilton is one of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time. 7-time world champion, hundreds of races. He's fast, focused, and fearless. But what many people don't see is what's inside him. It's not just skill. It's not just hard work. It's a deep, quiet strength, something spiritual. Lewis often says, "I feel God with me when I race." Every time he puts on his helmet, he prays. He doesn't ask to win. He asks for peace. He asks to be safe. He thanks God for the chance to do what he loves. And when the world turns against him, when people doubt him, criticize him, or try to tear him down, he responds with grace. He leans on his faith. He keeps going. This video isn't just about Formula One. It's about something deeper. It's about how God can be with us, even on the fastest tracks in the world, and how one man is showing the world that racing with God is the most powerful way to drive.
Before Lewis Hamilton ever held a Formula One trophy, he held something even more powerful, a dream. And not just any dream. A dream that felt impossible to most people. You see, Lewis didn't grow up rich. He didn't have a fancy house or a garage full of racing gear. He lived in a small town in England called Stevenage. His family didn't have much, but they had love and faith. His dad, Anthony, worked multiple jobs, sometimes 4 at once, just to pay for Lewis to race go-karts. He would clean offices at night, fix computers during the day, and still find time to drive Lewis to races. They didn't stay at hotels, they slept in the car, they ate cheap food, but none of that mattered. What mattered was the dream. Even as a little boy, Lewis believed God was watching over him. He would pray quietly before every race, not asking to win, but asking to do his best. His dad told him, put God first, stay humble, and let your actions speak louder than your words. Lewis listened. He didn't just race with his hands, he raced with his heart. He believed that his talent wasn't just something he was born with, it was a gift from God. And gifts are meant to be used, not hidden. Even when he lost, he didn't give up. He knew there was a bigger plan. Sometimes, other kids made fun of him. They said, "You'll never make it to Formula One. It's not for people like you." But Lewis didn't listen to their voices. He listened to God's voice inside him, whispering, "Keep going." And so, he did. With a worn-out cart, a strong heart, and a simple prayer, a little boy with big dreams began the race of a lifetime. Before every race, while the world is buzzing with noise, cameras flashing, engines rumbling, people shouting, Lewis finds a quiet space. It might be just a small corner near the car, or sometimes it's just inside his own mind. But in that moment, everything slows down for him. He closes his eyes, he breathes deeply, and he prays. Lewis doesn't pray to win. That's not what his faith is about. He prays for peace, for courage, for protection, not just for himself, but for everyone on the track. He knows Formula One is fast, it's dangerous. One mistake can change everything. So he talks to God before he straps in. He says that when he's driving, he often speaks to God silently, not with his mouth, but with his heart. It's like a quiet conversation between him and the one who made him. Even when the car is flying down the track at 300 kilometers per hour, he feels something steady inside. A calm that doesn't come from training or talent. It comes from trust, a kind of peace that only faith can give.
Lewis also practices something called meditation. That's when he sits still, closes his eyes, and just breathes. He lets his thoughts settle. He focuses on his heart and clears out all the noise. It helps him stay calm in a sport full of pressure. Some people ask, how do you stay so focused with so much going on? Lewis always says, because I'm connected to something greater than myself. It's not just skill that gets him through races. It's not even just practice. It's the power of believing that he's never truly alone in the car, that someone is riding with him every single lap, and that someone is God.
When you're the first or the only person who looks different in a room, it can feel scary. That's what it was like for Lewis Hamilton. In a sport where most drivers were white and wealthy, Lewis stood out, not just because of his skin color, but because of where he came from. He didn't grow up rich, he didn't have fancy equipment, he had a second-hand go-kart, a hard-working dad, and a heart full of dreams. But not everyone liked that. Even as he won races, people said hurtful things. Some fans booed him, others wrote hateful messages online. Some even said he didn't belong in Formula One. That kind of hate could crush a person. But Lewis didn't let it. He talked to God. He forgave people who tried to bring him down. He said, "My faith teaches me to love, not to hate." And you know what? That love made him stronger. He didn't respond to racism with anger. He responded with grace. He didn't curse the people who hurt him. He kept racing. He kept shining. In interviews, he said he wanted to be a light in a dark place. That even though it was hard, he believed God was using him to make a difference. He became a voice for the voiceless. He started speaking out, not just for himself, but for others who felt invisible too. Instead of being bitter, he became better. He taught the world that you can be powerful without being cruel, that you can be bold and kind, that standing tall doesn't mean shouting, it means standing firm in who you are. And every time he put on his helmet, it wasn't just about speed. It was about showing the world that love, courage, and faith can break any wall, even the invisible ones. Because Lewis Hamilton didn't just win with his car, he won with his heart.
There's something special about people who keep going when everything falls apart. Lewis Hamilton is one of those people. In a sport where winning means everything, losing can feel like the end of the world. You train, you push, you give your all, and sometimes it's still not enough. There were races where Lewis was leading and then lost it all in the final seconds. There were seasons where he came so close to a championship only to watch someone else take the trophy. But here's what makes Lewis different. He never lets losing break him. Instead, he chooses to believe that even the bad days have meaning. When he doesn't win, he doesn't blame. He doesn't throw fits or point fingers. He bows his head and thanks God anyway. That's because Lewis doesn't see losses as punishments. He sees them as preparation. He once said, "Sometimes you have to go through the valleys to appreciate the mountaintops." That's not just a quote. That's the heart of someone who trusts God even when things don't make sense. After one of the hardest losses of his career, the 2021 season finale, many expected him to explode in anger. But Lewis was silent, calm, peaceful. Because in that moment, he wasn't just a racer. He was a man resting in his faith. A man who believed that God still had a plan. In life, we don't always get what we want, but faith teaches us that we always get what we need. Sometimes that's a win. Sometimes it's a lesson. Either way, Lewis knows God is still in control. And when you really believe that, losing doesn't feel like the end. It feels like the start of something deeper.